Sairam, everyone. Just to recollect what we were last week. I think we read a paragraph where Swami is talking about the qualifications of Arjuna, and that Swami says Krishna himself called him the best bhakta, the best friend, and that's why he's teaching this secret knowledge of Geetha. I think that's what we read. We didn't discuss, so I will ask the sisters to continue reading and maybe read the same thing again, and we can discuss. We have we have a guest also with us from Florida, Brother Dominic Daly. So I invited him to just be part of the study circle today.
Saram, brother.
Welcome, brother.
Thank you.
So, Sarah, using Arjuna as an instrument, he is bringing to light the codes of conduct and modes of thought which are laid down as dharma from the very beginning and once again enforcing their practice. This is referred to as dharmodharana. He is reviving something that is lost. This is not work that can be carried out by ordinary men. So the universal basis, the universal Lord has himself assumed the task. He alone is sarvashta. My will must prevail over all obstacles. He is teaching the world through Arjuna. If Arjuna was an individual like others, he could not be the recipient and transmitter of this great teaching. So you must infer that Arjuna was really a great man. He's a hero who has defeated not merely the outer force, but even the inner ones. Weak hearts cannot grasp the Gita and put it into practice. It is with this full knowledge and this high purpose that Krishna selected Arjuna as the vehicle and showered on him his grace. Once, while Krishna was conversing intimately with Arjuna, he made this statement. Note the overpowering grace that Krishna showed. Arjuna, you are my closest bhakta, devotee. Not only that, you are my dearest friend. I have no friend so dear as you are. That is the reason why I taught you the supreme secret teaching. Reflect on this. Many in the world are only self-styled bhaktas. The Lord has not accepted them as such. To get the title from the Lord himself is a good fortune, and that is the highest credential. The bhakta must melt the heart of the Lord and get from him the acknowledgement of bhakti, devotion. If the title is taken by oneself, it gives partly satisfaction, not genuine joy, alpatripti, not atmatripti. Arjuna was the only person who got the title from the Lord himself. So you can understand how pure-hearted, how deserving was Arjuna. You might say 100 things about yourself. You might advance this claim and that, but you must show acknowledgement from the Lord. Without that, all your talk is empty boast. Bhakti must be won by implicit obedience. But that alone is not sufficient. That is why Krishna used the word mitra, friend, also. The friend has no fear. That makes him a more perfect recipient.
Thank you very much, sister. I think there are 2-3 things which Swami is talking about here. I think we should, as usual, we will start with one paragraph at a time, so that we understand what Swami is saying. In the first paragraph, I think Swami is telling that how Krishna used Arjuna as an instrument to do his work. And he's going into detail how the Lord chooses and how he operates. So I will just stop there, and I will ask anyone here to share your thoughts, any comments. Saira.
Sai Ram, uncle. Just the word udarana, it just means to, udarana means to raise?
Udharana means lifting something up.
Okay.
That may understand. Uplifting. So upliftment of dharma is dharma udharana. That's my understanding. Manyanti, are you okay with that meaning?
Correct. Udharana, upliftment of dharma.
And then the word sarva shakta, and then it says the definition is my will must prevail over all obstacles.
I don't know that. Sarva Shakta means one who is omnipotent.
Omnipotent, yeah.
Omnipotence is Sarva Shakta. One who has all powers.
Sarva Shakti Mayudu. You know, in Telugu, what Swami is writing is Sarva Shakti Mayudu. ఆయన అర్జునుని చేత ఎందించుకుని అతని ద్వారా లోకమునకు బోధించుచున్నాడు. సర్వశక్తిమయుడైన అర్జునుడు.
Oh, I see. See, that doesn't come through in the translation, Auntie.
Yeah, correct.
That is all power, all mighty, right? Like he has strength, right? Shakti.
No. So what Swami is telling is that Arjuna was someone who had all forms of strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not the correct translation here. My will must prevail over all obstacles. No, it's not it. Can I read that sentence in Telugu?
Yes, Auntie.
Yeah. ఇది సామాన్యుల చేత అయ్యేటటువంటి పని కాదు కనుక సర్వాధారుడైన సర్వేశ్వరుడే కంకణము కట్టి సర్వశక్తి మయుడైన అర్జునుని చేత అందించుకొని అతని ద్వారా లోకమునకు బోధించుచున్నాడు. So here Sarvashakti is referred to Arjuna rather than Krishna himself. That's what I understand.
Yes, Auntie, yes.
Sarveshwarude kankanam katti, he has taken that vow, Sarvashakti mayudaina Arjununi cheta, through Arjuna, andinchukuni, cheti endunchukuni, atani dwara, లోకమునకు బోధించుచున్నాడు.
So I think Swami is using the word Sarvadhara for the Lord. Krishna is the support who supports everything. He's the Adhara means support. And he as a support, he's using Arjuna who has all forms of strength.
Yeah.
And using him, he is achieving this task of Dharma Udharana, which is upliftment of Dharma.
And he's saying kankana, like
taking a resolve. Kankanamu katti means actually you're tying the wristband. But what it basically means, you take resolve. So Krishna resolved that I am going to uplift. And so he used it was Arjuna who had all kinds of strengths.
That's it.
Because Krishna is the Adhara support, using the strength of Arjuna, he uplifted the Dharma. So the Lord, I think Swami is sort of saying an instrument should be so good that the Lord can use it to uplift dharma. So I think that's the sense I get.
Is the word dware in there? Something about?
What is it?
Arjun, Dwara, Cheta. I think.
Yeah, Arjuna Cheta. Atani Dwara Lokamunaku bodhinchudu. Through him. Through him.
Through him.
Yeah.
Dwara means like a doorway, right? Or
door is also one meaning, but
Yes.
through him.
Yeah, through actually, so he becomes the opening. See, Dwara means opening. So, you can say, Swami says, you have to be like the flute, hollow and empty. I will blow through you. So, Dwara, actually, a very good point, because you had to become the channel for the Lord to operate.
Channel.
So, Dwara means yes. I think you hit another meaning, which is basically if the Lord has to operate, you have to be an empty vessel. Through it means. Dwara means opening. That's what it actually is. Anyone else has anything to say? I think everyone's. Yes, Brother Dasan, please go ahead.
Well, Sairam, brother, according to this first paragraph, my understanding is if the leaders are fail in the Dharma, most of the citizens also follow that one. In that case, Lord has to come down to establish the Dharma back again, the people not following that one. So Lord selected Arjuna because we studied that one, he's capable of whatever he's going to teach, and through him it can be educated the whole world, and that is the reason the Lord he's alone, he's Sarva Sakta, he's the creator, has to come down and teach. Thank you, Sai.
No, so brother, auntie, please go ahead.
Here, what the translation says is Sarvashakta. Of course, Lord is Sarvashakta, but here he refers to Arjuna as the Sarvashaktimaya. He has all the powers, so that he is chosen as the instrument in the hands of God to convey Bhagavad Gita through him. That is here Sarvashakta is referred to Arjuna, that particular word. Sairam.
Thank you very much, auntie. Thank you.
Is that paragraph says Sarvasakta is Arjuna again? I'm just reading again.
No, it's English. It's not translation. It's not accurate.
Okay. Thank you.
It's not accurate. See, I think, if you ask me, Swami has said this is not the work that can be carried out by ordinary men. So we all say that Swami came down to uplift the world, re-establish Dharma. Everyone thinks that we are doing, Swami's work and we are helping. So Swami is telling what should be the qualifications of a person who can be an instrument in his work. I think so he's dwelling on this a bit, because we are all learning, and if we have to learn his teaching, he's saying we have to cultivate the qualities of Arjuna. I think that's the intention. Swami is going into detail. That's my take on this. He's setting a great example of Arjuna for anyone who thinks that they are going to help the Lord as an instrument in his mission. If you want to, he says it cannot be done by ordinary men.
So Sairam, brother, here the universal Lord has himself to assume the task. He alone, that means the Lord alone is Sarvasakta. because others cannot teach to Arjuna. So the Sarva Sakta is teaching the world through Arjuna. If you put for he, Sarva Sakta.
So no. See, this entire paragraph, brother, is about Arjuna, the instrument.
Yeah.
So what in Telugu is Swami says is Sarva Shakti Mayudaina Arjunudu. This Arjuna who is all powerful. So you cannot be weak and be an instrument in the hands of the Lord.
Yeah.
You have to have some capability to be the instrument in the hands of God. So even the devotee, the instrument should be capable of doing a lot of things. Otherwise, there's no use.
Okay.
I think that is the sense Swami seems to be bringing about. The Lord is, Swami has used the word Sarvadhara, means God is the support for everything in this world. But he gets the work done through other people.
Okay.
And the other people have to have some qualifications. And I think this entire, all the paragraphs are sort of talking about that. So we should not think Arjuna is an ordinary person. He had lots of capabilities. I think that's a sense. Okay, if everyone is okay, we'll go to the next paragraph. I think everyone's silent.
Saira.
Yes, Auntie. So it's a sister.
I have a question about this in the second paragraph.
I think you may have to speak a little louder, sister.
I have a question. Is it clear now?
Yes, better.
I have a question about the one little sentence here. Weak hearts cannot grasp the Gita and put it into practice. What is the meaning of really the weak hearts? I thought we all have weak hearts. You know, if that is the meaning of this sentence, we cannot really grasp the Gita and put it into practice. That's my question, or the little concern here. Weak hearts people cannot really grasp the Gita and put it into practice. What would be the remedy for us? Either we have to have the strong heart, or whether the meaning of the terminology weak hearts is something different from the ordinary meaning.
Good question, sister.
I think the previous sentence, Arjuna was not only had defeated the outer force, but he had even overwhelmed those inner enemies also. So he is such a strong person who can really grasp the meaning of Gita. So one should be able to control the inner enemies as well as the outer enemies. Such a person can have a brave heart to understand the Gita. I think I understand like that. Saira.
Yes, Auntie, I think Sister Anandi sort of understands that. But she says we are not there, so what is our lot?
Acha, what is other lot?
I think that is her worry. So we have any choice, of understand. Won't we be able to understand the Gita? That is her question. So what is the solution for that? Swami is not outlining any solution here. So she's a bit worried about it. So anyone who can.
I think we have to raise ourselves to that quality what Arjuna has. That is my understanding, Sarah.
Thank you very much, brother. So brother is saying that we are Swami is expecting us to raise ourselves to that. Anyone else?
I'm just curious, what does Swami say in the Telugu for that?
Yeah.
Auntie.
Whatever. ద్వారా అర్జునుడు సామాన్యుడైన ఈ పవిత్ర ధర్మమును దేశమునకు అంత సులభముగా అందించలేదు కనుక అర్జునుడు సామాన్యుడు కాడని తలంచవలను. అతను అంతర్బాహ్య శత్రువులను కూడా జయించినాడు. దట్స్ వాట్ ఇట్ ఇస్ సేయింగ్. అట్టి దైవ భక్తి గలవాడే ఈ శక్తివంతమైన ధర్మమును ఆచరణలో సాధించగలడు. కానీ శక్తిహీనులకు బోధించి ప్రయోజనము లేదు. See, Swami is very clearly saying the antarbhakya shatru. It is antarbhakya shatru.
Auntie, you have to translate it because it doesn't come through properly.
Okay. So is it not what Swami is trying to tell us, that having vanquished the inner and outer enemies, Daiva Bhakti Galavade, the one who has got great devotion to the Lord, ఈ శక్తివంతమైన ధర్మమును ఆచరణలో సాధించగలడు. కానీ శక్తిహీనులు.
Auntie, just translate that much. So what I will try, then you can correct. What Swami is saying is only a person who has won the outer as well as the inner force and who has great devotion to the Lord, only such a person will be able to take this teaching and put it into practice.
Yeah.
Put it into practice. Acharanalo
సాధించగలదు.
So only such a person will be able to receive this teaching and put it into practice. And then next part, Auntie, next section.
So the one who has not been able to do these things, he is a weak-hearted person.
Yes. But that sentence, the rest of the sentence, Auntie.
శక్తిహీనులకు బోధించి ప్రయోజనం ఉండదు. There is no use teaching this great message to such people. కృష్ణ పరమాత్మ ఆలోచించే చక్కని చుక్కను నిర్ణయించుకున్నాడు. అర్జునుని ప్రజా ప్రతినిధిగా ఎన్నుకున్నాడు. He has selected him as a representative of the humanity. భగవంతునికి అర్జునిపై అంత కృపా ప్రసారము ప్రవహించి చెన్న అతను సామాన్యుడు కాదని భావింప తప్పదు.
But Swami is saying there's no use in teaching to anyone who does not have this
qualifications.
Who doesn't have this Shakti. There's no use. Prayojanam miladu, Swami is saying. So that is the translation, Kalijani. I hope you.
So Swami is saying, so the one who conquers inner and outer foes and has Daiva Bhakti, they will be able to take this teaching and put it into practice. And where does the Shakti part come in?
Shakti heenulaku bodhinchi prayojanam undadu. There is no point in teaching it to people who don't have this Shakti. That itself is strength. See, you need strength to even overcome your inner enemies. That is the Shakti Swami is referring to here. Because the inner enemies, defeating the inner enemies is the real strength. Is what is coming through in these sentences.
Okay.
So Swami wants us to really fight the inner enemies so that we qualify ourselves, that he will say, okay, there's some use in teaching these people. That's the sense. Yes, Brother Dasan.
I don't see any other solution for this, what Sister Anandi was saying. Is there any other way how we can get that brave heart to...
No shortcuts is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought my understanding the Arjuna represents us,
Yeah.
In many different perspectives, the Arjuna represents us. That's why whatever the Lord Krishna tell Arjuna or this Upadesa, in all times it would be applicable, and all human beings, they can take those the advices and implement or practices in their life. If Lord Krishna says that it would be useless, if if the person has weak hearts, and that was the thing I thought in my mind, all of us, we are studying, the Bhagavad Gita, for, it could be for years, and if we really have the weak hearts, and if we cannot defeat our inner force and the outer force, then even if we study for years or even for birds and birds, then it wouldn't take us to the higher level or something. That sort of thoughts, they popped up in my mind.
Okay.
Yes, sister. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, Swami has used the word that Krishna chose Arjuna as the representative of people, mankind. That's also not translated, but Auntie, that's right, no?
Yeah, correct. Krishna selected Arjuna as the vehicle and showered on him his grace. That's what is written.
Yes, that's a translation. But you said
Arjunani Praja Pratinidhiga, representative of the humanity.
Humanity.
Yeah, he has chosen him
as a representative.
Bhagavantuniki Arjunipai anta kripa prasaramu pravahinchuchunna atanu samanyudu kaadu. Arjuna is not an ordinary human being. He had that qualifications that which are necessary, which are required to absorb the message of Gita from Lord Krishna.
Okay, Brother Dasan.
Sairam, brother. So Lord Krishna taught all this time about the Atma, Sankhya, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Still, Arjuna is still sitting at the chariot. So he has a weak heart now, still now. The reason, he has lots of doubts. Even though we studied, he won inner and outside and everything. We saw all the qualities he capable to understand everything. But he still, under the weak heart, still not started to fight. The time he started to fight, that is the time he will come out from his weakness. That is my understanding too, brother. Thank you.
So the way I think Swami has dealt with this a little earlier, brother. See, Arjuna in his natural state, he had all this, but temporarily he lost it. Temporarily.
Yes.
Okay. So that is why. But even though you lost it temporarily, according to what Swami is saying, he was. See, as a student, he must be not knowing some things.
Mm-hmm.
But Krishna felt he was qualified enough to receive that teaching. So to that extent, he was the best among the students available, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's. But I think Swami is giving him credit for having won over the inner force. And I think Swami is, as Sister Ananthi said, and Brother, I think Varadan said, Swami is expecting us to raise to that level, because even though we are reading all this, if we do not cultivate those qualities of Arjuna, we will not be able to put them into practice.
Yes.
Whatever, even it's such a sublime teaching which Swami is teaching. So I think the inner force we have to overcome is what Swami seems to be highlighting for us.
Thank you, brother.
Sairam.
Yes, Auntie.
There's a story, I don't know whether it was before the war or after the war. Krishna was going for a walk with Arjuna, and he was pointing the garden. He was pointing out different words and asking Arjuna to name it. So Arjuna went on naming the birds, and Krishna said, "No, that name is not for that bird," and he kept on changing. So then ultimately Krishna asked, "Why do you say yes to all what I say?" So Arjuna said, "You are the Lord, and you can change the birds instantly, and so the names are also accordingly changed because you are the Lord. So whatever you say, I take it. So that story goes on like that. Saira.
Saira. Thank you, Auntie. I think that Swami has in his discourse said it happened before the war.
Yeah.
Before.
Because apparently Krishna was testing whether Arjuna was qualified to receive teaching.
Yeah. So before the war itself, Arjuna fully sort of.
Yeah, he was a great devotee. I think he was surrendered. He had surrender. I think
his implicit obedience to the Lord, that was that was brought out in that story.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyone else would like to share?
Sai, brother.
Yes, sister.
I just want to ask, I thought all these Pandavas represent the 5 elements and Arjuna represent the 5 tattva. Could you able to explain me that? Like Draupadi means like the mind. Actually, like we literally don't take these. Like
yeah, there is there are a couple of discourses where Swami has described it.
could you explain?
I would like to bring the material and describe. But there are many ways Swami has explained them. He said each one is limb of his body, that he is the heart. Things like that also he has explained. But Arjuna was the one who was. But I can't recollect what you were saying. Maybe I will try to do some research and find out that discourse of Swami where he has discussed it and share it with you.
Okay, great. I thought could be the 5 element, like we have to like Varshana, Bhutval, when we say the Brahmarpanam, right? So like we have to eliminate, burn our all bad qualities. So could be that. Like Auntie said, like inner.
So the inner force means Swami usually says the Arishad Varga, Swami says. The inner enemies are the 6 bad qualities which we get, which is called Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madha, and Matsarya, which is translated as Kama is desire, Krodha is anger or hatred, Lobha is miserliness or greed. Moha is delusion, or delusion is moha or infatuation. Madha is pride of various kinds, and Matsarya is jealousy. I don't know. I recollected, but I don't know whether the translation is accurate. Auntie, Mani Auntie is it's okay.
No, I don't remember that.
Translation is okay, Auntie.
Translation is fine. Translation is fine.
So those are the 6 inner enemies which Swami has spoken again and again. So Arjuna is supposed to have won over all these.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So could be that one, because 6 enemies, which I can't even control, not even a single one. So it's a long way. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, Sister Sai.
Sairam, just to add on to that point of, I know it's not the 6 or rather the elements part, the 5 elements part, but as you were mentioning, Swami has said that for the body where the head is Yudhishthira and the torso, the chest, like representing Bhima, the arms being Arjuna, and for the feet being Nakula and Sahadeva, for that body, the heart was Krishna. That was always keeping, basically meaning for the Pandavas, the heart was Krishna, and that was what kept them going. So in that line, just wanted to add that bit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. So apparently, I don't know, the context in which Swami is describing that is when they went to, after the Mahabharata war, when Krishna went to see Dhritarashtra and his wife, Gandhari, Gandhari asked Krishna, look here, Krishna, I had 100 children, you didn't care for any one of them, but you cared only for the Pandavas. It's not fair at all. That's what she said. Not even a single child is left for me. At that time, Krishna said, you can't just separate Pandavas from me, and then he goes on to say this or something like that, if I remember correctly. Thank you. Thank you. Any other thought from anyone, please? Okay, then we will go to the next paragraph, where Swami is saying, I would like to say, Swami is Krishna apparently told Arjuna, you are my dear closest bhakta and my dearest friend. The word Swami has used is prana mitrudu. In Telugu, he has used the word prana mitrudu. Prana means life. You are a friend who is my life itself. That's the type of I don't know. Prana means life. Mitrudu. That's what Krishna apparently used. The Swami is saying that's what Krishna called him. And that is the reason why I taught you this supreme secret teaching. So I'll pause here. Anyone has something to share? Actually, otherwise you can even look at the second one, where Swami is going on to explain the Lord has to acknowledge a devotee, and we can call ourselves devotees, but we'll say we will only get alpa tripti, which is paltry satisfaction, which is not even meaningful. But atma tripti, or the complete satisfaction, only comes when the Lord acknowledges. So I'll stop there. Anyone else like to share any thoughts, please, about this?
So what does it mean to get that title from the Lord himself? Like, how do we get that acknowledgement? Or
So I will open it up. Anyone who would like to share, how do we get that acknowledgement from the Lord? See, there are two adjectives Swami has used. One is a great bhakta. The second one is friend. So now he's talking only about the devotion part. So I think Kalyani's question is, how do we get to that point?
So if you want to put it in a nutshell, brother, follow his teaching, then you can be his friend and bhaktas. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Sairam Aruna.
Yes, Auntie.
Yeah, the last paragraph, it says, many in the world, Swami says, many in the world are only self-styled bhaktas. What's the meaning of that?
So my understanding that we ourselves call ourselves devotees.
Devotees.
We calling ourselves devotees is self-styled.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. Anyone else would like to share?
Sairam, as a human being, most of us, we will have either the bhakta side or the friend side. If we have respects in someone, and if we really treat them as equivalent to God, then most of the time we wouldn't get the feeling of friendship. We always would be having them in the high respect, and we wouldn't openly tell whatever feelings in our mind, good time or bad time. If we are having someone as a friend, then we may not have the devotion side or respect side. So as a human being, most of us either one or the other, not both. But Arjuna has a very high respect to Lord Krishna for his guidance and those things, and also very dearest friend. He would tell anything, everything, all the fun and play and everything. That's why maybe Krishna chosen him to teach this one. And also in my mind, I thought Lord Krishna has chosen a really an intelligent human being and taught all of these. Most of our gurus, they would be having the very difficulty in explaining because we don't have that sort of intelligence, to take or grasp all these things. That's why I believe Lord Krishna, was very lucky in that sense, uh, uh, to get a very intelligent student and explain to those. Even Arjuna was an intelligent student. Lord Krishna has difficult time to explain, to all of these, maybe in one chapter, Lord Krishna would have explained to him. But because of the complexity and everything, it took all the way to the many different chapters to explain this one, Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, sister. Any other sharing, please?
Yeah, Sairamana. Just wanted to share an incident that happened long time ago in Trai Brindavan, where I think one of the VIPs had come, and that person was in Swami's presence, and when the conversation was going on, they happened to tell Swami that their son was Swami's student. And then Swami didn't seem to acknowledge that. So the person started telling that, no, Swami, he is your student. He studied in this batch and so on this year. Then again, Swami didn't seem to acknowledge that. And the conversation continued. And third time when it happened, then Swami went on a little more and he says, yes, that boy, he studied in Sathya Sai, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, but he's not my student. And then Swami went on to explain what is being his student, meaning qualifying in Swami's subjects of love, service, sadhana, those subjects which are dear to Swami, and qualifying in that, making them his student or his true devotee. So I'm just trying to use that incident to say what is something that qualifies or getting qualified as God's student or God's devotee is being in line with what God has set as the parameter. So in this context also, when Lord Krishna said that Arjuna is the true devotee, getting such a qualification, so it means being in line with what God has set as the priorities. And that is where the differentiation of being a strong heart or a brave heart versus a weak heart comes into place, because we know that those kind of situations that Pandavas went through or Arjuna went through, it required that strong bent of mind at every point in time to conquer the outer and inner, and which ultimately devotion is there, but here, like Swami has said, put it into practice. So putting that abhyasa yogena, which I think differentiated Arjuna, it's not only having the theoretical knowledge, but implementing that at every point in time, which is what we can also take from, and that continuous practice, which will help us get there. So to answer Sister Kalyani's thing was, what are those things? One of the points that Swami had mentioned at that point in time was with regard to love, service, and sadhana. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Thank you.
Very nice explanation.
Yes.
Thanks.
Brother Sairam, here Krishna saying, Arjuna, you are my dearest friend. Okay. When Arjuna surrendered to him, what kind of bhakti he had it? He also had the friendship relationship, am I right? This Sakya, that is the way he is surrendering him, like, or if there is any other devotion, he had it. But here, only clarified, Krishna is saying, you are my dearest friend. Isn't it Arjuna's friend too?
Who is Arjuna's friend?
When he doesn't know at the beginning, Krishna, he was treating him also as a dearest friend. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, because in the Navavidha Bhakti, the 9 types of devotion, Sakhya Bhakti or Sneham is the friendship. We have a friendship with the Lord.
Yeah,
And
so that means they are recommending Sakitya Bhakti for this period of time, or because if we want to raise to Arjuna, so is that the Sakitya Bhakti was the recommended Bhakti out of the 9 point of devotion?
Sai Ram, I think again we go back to that previous paragraph where Swami is saying that one who has conquered the inner enemies and the outer enemies, he is the one who is brave heart, and he is such a person who has the quality to qualification to receive this message. Again, he says. So it is not only the dearest friend. Arjuna was not only a dearest friend, and at the same time, he was the closest bhakta. Parama Bhaktudu. In Telugu, it says,
Supreme devotee.
Parama Bhaktudavu nuvu. He says like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand is that we are suggesting here Sakitya Bhakti for this time of the period of time, kind of like a mankind, is that the one they are saying?
See, the last sentence, sister, it's Swami saying, the friend has no fear that makes him more perfect recipient. So it gives you a little advantage. That's what I understand.
Okay.
But any devotion should be okay.
But the friendship give you more.
Yeah, more perfect. Swami has given some extra points. That's what I understand. Yes, Brother Tasan, please go ahead.
Yes, brother, I agree to your point. The reason is everyone has the bhakti. But when you have the friendship with the Lord, whenever you have any kind of doubts, you can ask him freely. And God also very free to have the conversation with the bhakta. So there's no different, that's I think the communication can be go through very fluently. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. So Swami has used the word Anyonyamuga Nundina. So you sort of become intimate. That's the word Swami has said. If you are a friend, you will be so intimate. Anugrahamunaku adhikari kagalaru. Saridane, auntie? Swami says, when you are intimate with the Lord, you become entitled for the grace. Adhikari.
This Uttama Adhikari. Uttama Vidyaku Adhikari Kaledu. The previous few sentences are very, very good in Telugu.
Okay, read, auntie.
Yeah. Lokamuna endaro bhaktulamani variki varu birudulu kalpinchukochunnaru. People say that we are great devotees in this world. Many people come forward and say that we are great devotees. Kani Neevu Bhaktudavu ani Bhagavantudu evariki birudu ivaledu. Swami has not given a title to anyone saying that you are my bhakta. Bhagavantuni hrudayamu nundi neevu na bhaktudavu anu birudunu pondinavadu bhaktunu gani. The one who is really Bhagavantuni hrudayamu nundi, he really out of his heart he says that you are my bhakta. Until and then nobody is a bhakta. Bhagavantuni hృదయమును కరిగింపలేని వారు ఎంత భక్తులైనను అది వారి అల్పతృప్తిమే కానీ ఆత్మతృప్తి కాదు. That sentence, the bhakta must melt the heart of the Lord and get for the acknowledgement of bhakti. That is exactly here written. నీవు నా భక్తుడవని బిరుదును సాధించినది ఒక్క అర్జునుడు మాత్రమే. So he had that only Arjuna had that qualification to be called a devotee by the Lord. అర్జునుడు ఎంతటి పవిత్ర హృదయముతో భగవంతుని అనుగ్రహమునకు ఎంతటి అర్హుడో దీనితో తెలుసుకునవచ్చును. We can come to know how much Arjuna had that pure heart to receive that grace of the Lord. జల్లు మాటలు కేవలం గాలి మాటలే, వారికి తిరుగు అంగీకారం. I think the next paragraph is not, we have not read it, I think.
Sairam, just adding a point here. They say like the true bhakta or true friend is comes into place when one fears nobody and one whom others are not afraid of. So in when Swami is telling that friend has no fear, because some of the tasks that Arjuna did during the course of the war also, if we see when Lord Krishna was the charioteer and Lord Krishna would be seated below in charioteer position and Arjuna had to keep his legs on either side of Lord Krishna's head and he had to direct the chariot or Krishna to go in which direction. He has to press his left foot against the left eyebrow of Lord Krishna if the chariot has to turn left. He has to press his right leg hard against the right brow of the Lord if the chariot has to turn right. And he has to press both his feet hard with the same pressure if the chariot has to go straight. Because in the din of the battle, he cannot shout out to Lord Krishna, turn left, turn right. He has to give the instructions through his feet. So when he's doing such a task, many a times, because he's wearing sandals, iron sandals, Lord Krishna's forehead, the sides used to actually, the skin used to peel, it used to hurt, it used to bleed. Of course, Lord Krishna did all that for the sake of dharma, for the sake of Pandavas. But for Arjuna to have that ability, because when you think I am keeping the head of the Lord, that itself sends shivers to anybody to do that act. If Arjuna could go forward and do that act, it needs a lot of inner strength to be in alignment with the Lord. In addition to being a bhakta, to take him to that level of Sakhya Bhakti, of friendship, which made him one with the Lord and do such acts. So it speaks volumes of what all, as much as we know Lord Krishna gave Arjuna, how Arjuna has been a befitting recipient to receive that grace of the Lord and do such activities. So just giving an example of that. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, Sai Satish. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other thought?
So brother suggested Sagitya Bhakti to like practice then for the mankind. Thank you, Saira.
Yeah, Swami has, in many occasions, Swami has told that we should not have fear of the Lord. Okay, because that is the qualification of friendship. And that is before we can merge with the Lord, we should somehow raise ourselves to that level where we absolutely don't have any fear. So I think that's the last sentence where Swami is talking about.
Yeah.
If there is no other thought, I think maybe we'll go to the next slide.
Yeah. Just one more question. So, so Swami is kind of emphasizing the importance of, having the Lord himself say that you are his devotee. So does that mean just practically, like, we should never refer to ourselves as devotees or bhaktas? Is it just like to add more, like to, keep reminding us that we have more to do, or like?
Correct.
Yeah, but I think Swami does not want any complacency on our part. See, because so we have to strive higher and higher until we get the assurance from the Lord that okay, we may not. So until then, we have to strive hard to progress. I think that's the way I see it. so we don't become complacent. Oh, we are doing everything and we are devotees. Swami does not want us to get into that state of mind. That's my reading. Anyone else has any thoughts about this, please?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, sister.
No, go ahead, sister. You go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, if we attain that level of devotee where the Swami would himself will call us his devotee, I don't think we would need that stamp on ourselves. We won't be striving for it because we won't be aware of that. We are calling ourselves devotee, that means we haven't attained that state yet, in my thought.
Exactly.
Yes, Sister Shivani.
You know, when Brother Sai Satish was sharing the story, I mean, wow, what a Sarthi Krishna is that Arjuna is giving through his leg the direction and he's taking. And it reminded me, if I'm not wrong, Swami, he came in human form and he himself many times has said that he has taken his devotees' pain. It's not that he has not done. In Kali Yuga, what my understanding is, he has said, just love me, just full devotion to me. That's more than enough for me, nothing else. And he will be our Sarthi, he will be our friend. So it's not difficult. It's just we have to be very conscious about his presence all the time. That's my take.
Thank you very much, sister. Yes, Brother Dominic, please go ahead.
Sairam, everyone. Sairam. This is a wonderful study circle, so thank you for inviting me. I wanted to share a few things during the course of the conversation, but it is so dense in many meanings, this particular chapter. But something came to mind as far as the bhakti and the bhakta. It is a little bit out of the conversation, but I think it ties in since we are talking about this particular character, this particular feature. And I wanted to share a very short recording. It's a minute or so, if you could bear with me, if I may.
Okay, please.
Adi Shankaracharya wrote a number of Vedantic works for imparting knowledge of the self and the universal spirit. He also composed a number of hymns to foster bhakti in the hearts of men. One of these hymns is the famous Bhagawan. The way of devotion is not different from the way of knowledge or jnana. When intelligence matures and lodges securely in the mind, it becomes wisdom. When wisdom is integrated with life and issues out in action, it becomes bhakti. Knowledge, when it becomes fully mature, is bhakti. If it does not get transformed into bhakti, such knowledge is useless tinsel. To believe that jnana and bhakti, knowledge and devotion, are different from each other is ignorance. If Sri Adi Shankara himself, who drank the ocean of jnana as easily as one sips water from the palm of one's hand, sang in his later years hymns to develop devotion, it is enough to show that jnana and bhakti are one and the same. Sri Sankara has packed into the Bhaja Govindam song the substance of all Vedanta and set the oneness of jnana and bhakti to melodious music.
Sairam, I hope you were all able to hear. The recording is not very good, but I thought it may be relevant in part of the conversation. Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. So I think we can move on to the next slide, sisters.
Yeah.
Now we shall resume the trend and go back to the Gita. When Arjuna listened to Krishna's words, he developed a head full of doubts. He became agitated. Not only he, but all men nowadays are worried by doubts. Moreover, in the complex spiritual field and the field of knowledge concerning Godhead, there are two interpretations possible: the outer and the inner. Ordinary men accept the outer, and those who have some experience of the Lord seek to know the inner. As the saying goes, like the mole in the eye, the stone in the shoe, the thorn in the foot, the faction in the home is this doubt in the brain. When such doubts assail Arjuna, who is the representative man, it means they are humanity's own doubts. They can be solved only by Madhava, God, who is beyond the above humanity. That is why Krishna is ready by his side to remove any doubt and plant joy in the heart.
Thank you, sister. So I will. I think it's pretty simple. There's nothing which I wanted to point out. If anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please. Anything which registers in your heart.
Sairam, brother, I like the last sentence. The ordinary men accept the outer, and those who have some experience of the Lord seek to know the inner. So far, whatever we studied, if we say we understood that means we are saying, like an ordinary man. But Arjuna wants to know more deeper, that whoever wants to learn more into the spiritual side, they dive into the ocean all the way down in order to seek the inner meaning. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to?
Saira, just in this sentence, so Swami saying in the spiritual field and the field of knowledge about God, there are two interpretations, the outer and the inner. So even within that spiritual field, there's the outer and the inner. Like, what exactly is that referring to?
Actually, Swami has used word antarartham and bahyartham. I think that those are the two words Swami has used in Telugu.
Does that mean outer meaning?
Inner meaning.
Oh.
And the external meaning. Auntie.
Yeah. Bhagavat Tattvamunandu Antarartham okati, Bhakyartham marokati. So the principle of Atmic principle, you have two doubts. One is two meanings. It can be interpreted in two ways. One is the outer one, and the one is the inner one. How do we, Arun? How can we understand this? Bhagavat Tattvamanando Antarartham okati, Bhakyartham marokati. Samanya Baharthimane Pradhanamuga Patinchuru.
So Swami, what did you ask, Auntie? You were saying something.
Bhagavat Tattvamanando Antarartham okati, Bhakyartham marokati. Samanyulu Bhakyarthamane Pradhanamuga Patinturu. So I didn't catch what kind of this Adhyatma Vishayamulandu.
Yes, I think what Swami is saying
what Swami is saying.
Swami, so I think we just talked about all this, and then Swami is coming back to saying, see, starts off saying, okay, let's get back to Gita. Okay. That's the first thing which I like. So then he says Arjuna had a lot of doubts. had questions.
Mm.
And same way, if all the human beings also have
We
doubts.
have.
Then he goes on to make the statement that in the spiritual field, the principle of God, Bhagavat Tattva means, I would say, principle of God itself, or God, divinity, whatever you want to call it. Swami says it has an inner meaning and an external meaning, but common man usually only gives importance to the external one.
Yeah.
So I think this relates to the confusion Arjuna has, is the way I understand. Because even the principle of divinity, when we approach it externally with external facts and phenomenon, it can give rise to doubts in us until we find out the inner meaning. That's why Swami would say, if you think Swami is the 5-foot person, you only limit it to that, you will have lots of challenges in terms of, you'll have doubts. But if you understand the principle of Swami is beyond that, the form, and also find that principle of the Lord in everyone, within us also, that He is the indweller in us. That's what you see outside, you should also be able to experience it internally. And Swami seems to be saying that that is the best way to overcome all these doubts. Is the way I see it. I don't know.
You mean the divinity present inside and outside?
Yes.
How?
See, I think the way, okay, I maybe I'm talking too much, but
No.
see, generally we will say, Swami, if this happens, then you are God. I want this if it happens. We only, we treat him from a transactional perspective.
Yeah.
That he's a wish fulfilling tree. Ask for something and he gives, and then you say you are God.
You're God.
The day it doesn't happen, then we will say, I have some doubts. Okay, I have some doubts whether you are really capable. So that happens only because we are evaluating God's actions only on the basis of external phenomena around us.
That is right. I think that's correct.
But the thing is, if we really understand, divinity is nothing to do with external, but it is divinity in terms of qualities that God manifests. Until we transcend to that state, these doubts will come. But once we understand divinity, what Swami embodies is that divinity of divine qualities, and the same qualities I had to find within myself. That is an inner approach, is my understanding. That's why Swami says,
regarding the field of knowledge, and Swami says spiritual field.
Yes.
He comes to the point there, field of knowledge, the knowledge that divinity exists everywhere, and is that the field of knowledge for us?
I think it's, this field of knowledge is to realize that you are also divine.
Yeah.
And you are divine, and you are the Atman. The Swami is the indweller in you. Until we come to these conclusions, I think we will be worried by doubts and so on. This is the problem with Krishna. With Arjuna, the problem was he had devotion. He had a lot of respect for Krishna. He even surrendered to the Krishna. But as Brother Thasan was telling, he could not still fight. And he had lots of questions. Because Arjuna did not think that he was also divine. He was not identifying with the Atman himself. Even though in the second chapter itself, Krishna said, look here, you are the Atman. Bhishma is the Atman. Atman doesn't die. Identify with that. Krishna is trying to get him to that state. But even then, Krishna, he asked for Vishwarupa Darshanam. He gives him Vishwarupa Darshanam. Everything he does. He asks lots of questions. But at least at some point, I'm sure Krishna was successful in drilling home the fact that Arjuna, to a great extent, recognized his own divinity as nothing but a reflection of Krishna, whom he saw outside. And I think that's what Swami is sort of driving to us. Because I think he's foreseeing that we may have doubts. So he says,
you all have doubts now.
I think that's my take, but I will open it to others. Please share whatever you see.
It's a
please.
complex question here.
So Sai Ram brother, here that outer and inner, if I say Atma is Satchit Anand, the normal people say, okay, Satchit Anand, okay. The person who interested only, he will find out the inner meaning. What is Sat? What is Chit? What is Anand? He wants to go down and wants to find out more and more. But ordinary people, they want to know the outer meaning only, and they will be satisfied, and they are happy with that. Thank you, Sai Ram brother.
Yeah. Sai Ram.
The outer and the inner, is that the same as the pravritti and nivritti?
Yes. Pravritti is an externally focused. For example, if you're doing a puja, if you're doing a yajna, if you're doing a bhajan, Swami will say you should do antar yajnam also. There should be a yajna going on inside you. There's a puja inside you should do. Just doing the external puja will not help. It is also devotion. But that's very tangible, and so we identify with it, so we do it. But when we do that, we should not ignore the inner worship, the inner yajna. So I think that's what Swami is sort of touching on. That's my understanding. That's which is pravritti. One is pravritti, the other one is nivritti.
Pravritti and nivritti.
Anna, just I would request you to take that story of how Agni Deva wanted to burn the whole of
the blade of grass.
And then make it to Indraprastha. So though we see the outer story, the inner meaning of that is completely different. The other day you were sharing about the inner meaning. So I think in that context, I was just trying to say that what we read as stories actually have a deeper meaning behind it at the Atmic level, and what we are seeing outside is actually a reflection of what is on the inside, and actually the inside is the real basis. So if that story and its meaning, Anna, if you say, I think that I was just trying to see it'll capture this understanding of outer and inner better, because what is told as a story outside is actually having the inner meaning that is applicable to each one of us, and how we can apply it to real life. If that is okay for you to share. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Story time.
Hello, okay. I think I may have shared it here, but anyway, Sai Satish asked me, so
we would like to hear it again, sir.
Okay, the story is actually the external meaning and inner meaning. I think there's a story of apparently once Agni Deva, the fire god, came to Arjuna and asked for a boon. He said, I am so hungry, I need some food. So I want the forest called Khandava forest. I want to eat everything there. So Arjuna said, okay. And then he said, don't make sure that nothing from the forest escapes. Everything in it should be, I want everything. I'm so hungry. So Arjuna is supposed to have, with the help of Krishna, Krishna was not shooting the arrow. Arjuna was the one who was fighting. So whenever any animal escaped from that forest, Arjuna was chasing it back into the fire, because the fire was raging. Okay, so this is the story which we read in the Mahabharata. And so the thing is, it seems very silly, suddenly how can fire be hungry, and why is Arjuna helping the fire? And it's a forest fire, it's not good for the environment, whatever. So these are the type of questions we will get. But a simple devotee will say, Krishna is having Leela, he's doing, apparently whenever any animal was escaping, Krishna will point out, see, that is going. Then Arjuna will chase it back. So this is the story. So a real devotee who is very simple in their thought, they will say it's Krishna's Leela and that's it. But they only look at the external meaning. But then there may be some intelligent person who will say, okay, what is this? This is a useless activity of, chasing. And apparently there was one snake called Daksha, he was trying to escape.
Dakshaka Express.
Takshaka escapes and Arjuna chases him, and then Taksha is supposed to have somehow got somebody's help and run away. Okay, Indra's help or something like that. So what the story is? Maya.
Because he builds the Maya Sabha because of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much. So Maya is the architect of Indra, builder. So the story is Kandava means sugar candy. Sugar candy is candy. So the forest which the fire wanted to burn was the sugar candy forest. What exactly it means is we are all entertained by this world for all sort of sensual pleasures which are very sweet, which we find as very sweet. But the Agni, which is the fire of wisdom, wants to consume it all. And not even a single bad thing should escape. Even if a small thing escapes, it has to be thrown back into the fire and burnt. And the Lord actually helps that process. He will say, look here, there's a bad quality of yours escaping from inside. So then we have to right away go after that and throw it back into the fire and burn it. So that is the inner significance of this story. So the external significance can be, just the Leela of the Lord, things are burning down, Ukraine is burning down or something like that, some people say it's Leela, some people say it's a bad thing. But the reality is the Lord, for everything which happens outside, there is an inner significance. And the real devotee will search for that and find it. And that is what all spirituality is about. When we look at it externally, external meaning, we can have many doubts. When we look at the internal meaning, we really know what the Lord is doing. The Jnana Agni always wants to burn everything bad in this world. Okay, for that, the God will help us if we identify and throw it back into the fire of wisdom and burn any bad qualities, any poisonous animals, reptiles or whatever. So that is the story of the story. So, Sai Satish, is that good enough?
Thank you, Anna. Yeah. No, so I was just saying that from the context of the outer and inner. So when we read scriptures, so many doubts will come. Why Krishna did this, or why this particular situation happened in a way that was not conducive. Even with regard to Draupadi's humiliation in the court, and so many things, so many doubts come. But like Anna shared in this context of the inner meaning, if we go back a little deeper, because they say, even the story where the woodcutter or somebody is going into the forest, they say, go a little more deeper, go a little more deeper. First he went and found a copper mine, then he found a silver mine, then he found a gold mine. So as we keep going deeper and deeper into the recesses of our own heart, our own being, the levels and layers of meaning keep changing, and we are closer to the actual reality of what it is. Because the further away we are from our inner core being, the further away we are from reality. So that way, the inner meaning is completely different from what we perceive as the outer meaning. So in that context, I was just thinking what Anna had shared earlier. So I thought that could be told in this place as well. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you.
Sai Ram. So I'm just reflecting back, if you remember, Brother, way back in this, when we were reading, you mentioned something that every second, split second, there is something for us to learn. We are not like Lord Buddha, by seeing those bodies and sick person, he realized what is a reality. So I don't know if I'm interpreting right, that as Brother Sai Satish is saying, the more we go inner and closer to our Atma, or in inner, everything there is a deep meaning for us to learn, rather than seeing wrong and right, but there is something for us to get more closer to our own divinity. That's how I am relating.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you.
Sairam, Swami was saying in the previous paragraph how Arjuna had implicit obedience, but at the same time he was a friend, so he was not afraid to ask questions and bring up his doubts. So I guess for ourselves, like sometimes it seems a little bit contradictory to be obedient but to have doubts. Yeah, just wondering about that.
Excellent question. Yeah, because Swami in the previous paragraph he said he has implicit obedience, but he has doubts. So I think your question is, if you get doubts, doesn't it go counter to the obedient part, isn't it? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yes. So I think implicit obedience should not be considered blind obedience. I think that's what I understand. Implicit obedience means once you understand the instruction well, then follow it without fail. But Swami says you need to understand it properly before you apply it also. There are places Swami said you should be convinced of it. Until you are convinced, seek guidance from the Lord so that you are, because Arjuna wanted to do something, but he wanted to do it in thought, word, and deed. So you should not have a doubt and then do. If the doubt is there, you have to clear it, because then it is not, if you have a doubt and do it, then it's not implicit obedience. So if you need clarification and ask the Lord, I think what Arjuna lacked, what Arjuna did not lack, from what I understand, he didn't dismiss what Krishna said as not meaningful. I will not do it. Okay, it is not that kind of a doubt, but he had a doubt which hampered his full understanding of what Krishna was saying. But so in that sense, he was sincere and he knew what Krishna is saying is the right thing to do, but he wanted to be fully convinced or fully understand what Krishna is saying. That is why he asked questions. Is that the way I see it? To that extent, it's like a student in a classroom has total faith in the teacher, but when they don't understand the subject, they can ask questions. But if we start doubting the teacher himself, then it's a big problem. And I think that's, I hope that's my take, but others can.
Brother, the implicit obedience, it was reflected in when Krishna was saying, this is not bird, this is what, but everything he's accepting. So that is reflection of the implicit obedience. But whatever he has the doubt, he knows he's the person to ask, and he's trusting him and asking. So that is something I would say, that is the doubt he's clearing. But obedient, whatever he's saying, he's accepting it. Even as a crow, he's saying yes. So that is, I think, that's an implicit obedience. Thank you, Saya.
Thank you.
So,
yes, brother. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Kalyani.
Just a follow-up question. So for example, if we come across a teaching of Swami that we don't quite understand yet, and then to follow that blindly would be like not authentic on our part. So do we wait for that understanding and try to learn more before we follow that instruction?
Very, very nice question. Very nice question, sister. Yes, I will ask anyone else. Other brothers, and go ahead.
Yeah, Sairam, but I like to tell the story that Bhishma supposed to be killed by Sigandini. So Arjuna was Arjuna was fighting with Bhishma, and Sigandini was behind. So now Lord Krishna said, Lord Krishna told, okay, bring the Sigandini front. But so Bhishma is not going to fight against Sigandini. But Lord Krishna said, now your time, this is the time, because Sigandini was sending the arrows, it's not powerful. So Lord Krishna told, okay, this is the time, Krishna told to Arjuna, now you have to send the arrows. And without any arguments or anything, he started to throw the arrows to Bhishma. So he's obedient. He behaved that obedient that time, because doubts was cleared. Then this time the obedience supposed to be there. Whatever Lord says, he has to do it right away. He cannot say no or anything that time. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone has an answer for Sister Kalyani's questions? So when we read something of Swami's instruction and when we have doubts or we don't have full understanding, what should we do? Should we not practice it? Wait for clarification? Is the question. What would Swami expect us to do, and how do we deal with such a situation? I think all of us would have come across situations like that. So
now we are coming to study circle because we wanted to understand Swami's words clearly, right? So if we know everything, then we can read and go. So we always try to analyze and understand what Swami is trying to say to us. That's the way I will look at it. Thank you, Saira.
So Kalyani's question is, sister, should we wait for the study circle to touch the topic, or
Yes, we have to discuss and understand what Swami really said, right? But see, everyone has a different opinion in different things. When you come and discuss it, then you will always understand what is really the inner meaning. That's the way we can say that. We will understand the inner meaning of it. What we understood before, maybe is outer meaning that is not clear. But while discussing, we will get to the real meaning. Thank you, Saira.
So I think the question is, Auntie, is that so if we don't understand it, do we practice it without understanding, or do we wait till we understand to practice?
We have to understand.
So you don't practice it until you understand?
How to practice if you don't understand?
Okay.
Saira,
yes,
this is my opinion. Every word of Swami is a Veda. So I think we should practice without having a second word. Then after that we can clarify it. You can understand it. Because Swami's every word is Veda, Swami says. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you.
Can I just give an example? I just want to give one small example. Like Swami, I was reading something where Swami is saying, like giving very clearly saying, if anybody asks you who you are, you should say, I am I. And he's just going on to explain. But I was just thinking about it, like, would I really, like, is Swami saying I should really do this? Like, if I'm in my job or somewhere new and someone asks me, who are you? Should I say, I am I? Or like, they'll just commit me to like a mental.
They will think that you're bad. They'll send you out. Unless there is a background for such explanation.
Actually,
I feel like there is no harm in asking doubts to be cleared by Swami. There's no harm. See, we are all humans. We have got lots of samshaya. There's doubts are there. So we can easily ask, because he is our friend. He is our greatest friend, dearest friend. We can ask him. I feel so. Saira.
But the Sandega Nivarani came for that, right? For the doubt. You always have doubt. Swami cleared his words.
Swami clears it.
Sai Satish, you wanted to say something? Or Saira and Sister Shivani.
No, you, Sai Satish, can go with the Sai.
Yeah, thank you. Saram, so just looking at Sister Kalyani's question, of course, we have something called Desha, Kala, Paristiti, depending on the situation, the time and the place and so on, in terms of how we answer a particular question. So in that context, the IMI can vary depending on who is asking, where they are asking, and so on. But I get the import of the fundamental thing you're asking, sister. And in that context, we usually say that Guru and Guru's Vani, or Guru and Guru's teachings are the same. So like how Anna was telling prior to this also, the complete faith in the teacher. And then if that is there, we have the implementation part as well. So I'm just trying to put it in the thing that it is something like to have knowledge about swimming is one thing, but to gain the experience or to know swimming is another thing, where we have to get into the pool and start doing from the initial strokes to becoming a swimmer. So it can become the chicken or egg many times as to first having the complete faith, or is it experience? And then many times I think it has been told that faith comes first and experience follows that. And in this case, faith, because it has come from Swami, from the scriptures, from people who have tread that path, and once that faith is established, it gives us the sufficient courage to practice it, experiment with it, and make it a part of our being. Because ultimately, till we put it into practice and experience it, only then it becomes part of us. Or else it remains at the head level, but for it to become part of the heart, it has to be experienced through practice. So, and because it's also said, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, if our effort is sincere and we put in with all our heart, then the knowledge or wisdom will reveal itself. Bhagawan will make us understand that meaning, but that effort has to be there, and that is where we have to put it into action. So that will help us show that we are sincere in getting the meaning behind it. Thank you, Saira.
Okay, thank you very much, Sai Satish. That is not the territory. Okay. I think if we start, this is a very good topic. We can discuss, I'm sure, for one whole session. But I just want to point out to everyone the last sentence in the slide. That is why Krishna is ready by his side to remove any doubt and plant joy in the heart.
Yeah,
so what Swami is giving us an assurance that if we are sincere, he will be by our side and clear our doubts. We don't have to wait for the study circle. That's my view. We can discuss it. And I just wanted to also point out to Sister Kalyani, I think you may not have doubt about the statement, but I think you have a doubt about the practicality of using it. I think the reality is, if Swami has asked us to make a statement, he wants us to first experience, as Satish said, we have to, in our own mind, in our own heart, we need to have that feeling, I am I, before we make that statement outside. There is many students, Swami will come and ask, who are you? Then they will say, Swami, I am you, or something like that. If a primary school child says, Swami will say, very good, very good. If an university student says, he will say, don't try any stunt. You tell who you are. So the thing is, Swami expects us to experientially be that before we speak. I think the question, can we say it anywhere else, comes only because we identify with the body. We don't really, I am the body, because of only that thinking that we are scared to tell anyone. Because they will think, what will they think of us? Which is again the body. They will doubt my intelligence, doubt my sanity. They think I am slightly off my head, things like that. Because all this, because even though we want to say I am I, we are thinking I am the body. So when Swami says you should say I am I, he wants us to experientially understand that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are the Atman, and then make that statement. And I think that is our journey, is my understanding. So I'm sorry for talking about it, but I think we can continue with this point. How do we get the clarification from the Lord whenever doubts assail us? Okay, we already shot past by 4 minutes. I'm very, very sorry, because I did not want to cut midstream, and I also wanted, sorry for having the last word today. I think, sorry, please excuse me. We will close the session with Samasta Loka and Shanti and continue this vigorous topic next week. Okay, Saira. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Thank you, everybody.